Ugh, blowing my nose over here. You hear the sniffles? I got the sniffles today. Man, that pollen is something different out there. Welcome to the Scoreboard. Hey, for the next hour, you guys get to rock with me. And we're going to talk about local, regional, national sports, high school level, all the way up to the pros. Nothing's too big or small for us to tackle here on the Scoreboard. I'm going to try and get through it today because I am struggling. I've gone through probably a half a box of tissues in the past, 30 minutes or so. I don't know what happened. You sneeze once, and it's like a waterfall opens in your nostrils. So we're going to get through it today. We got a lot to talk about. Carolina Hurricanes, they're not playing tonight. Unfortunately not. But they are not the only team that were in action recently. And they're not the only thing that's going to be happening tonight or tomorrow. So we're going to talk about what's going on in the NHL playoffs. It matters what's going on around the league for Carolina. We also have some actual news breaking today out of college football and IndyCar. Yes, IndyCar news as well. We haven't really talked too much about the IndyCar season. They are a few races in. I think 3 have been officially completed. But we have new winners. Now, I'll explain a little bit later on in the show. Also, like I said, the NCAA football scene, we have a little bit of news out of there. There is something going on that I think you should know about that I think is very important. Very important. So we're going to go ahead and talk some college football a little bit later on in the show, as well as start our preview for the Dover Raceway this coming Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series, the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the ARCA Series, the ARCA Menard Series. All will be at Dover this coming weekend if the rain holds up. Now, we'll see what happens. I don't think that we're going to have too much of a problem, but you never know. So, 844-STUDIO-4, that's 844-788-3464. 844-788-3464. It'll get you into the studio, part of the Scoreboard today, and we can chat about whatever it is that's on your mind. Maybe you watched some of that hockey last night and you are just excited for more. I know I am. Now, we might not have the game that we want to watch tonight, which is Carolina and New York. We got to wait until tomorrow for that. But we do still have some hockey going on tonight. We had some good hockey last night as well. We will recap what went on, as well as a little bit later, if we have time, we're going to continue talking about the NBA playoffs. The Philadelphia 76ers have been making some headlines here recently, not because of anything good, but because they lost game number 2 in an interesting manner where the Knicks scored 8 points in the final 27 seconds to win the game, but there was a non-foul call that changed the outcome of the game. We also have a grievance that has been filed by the 76ers. We'll talk about what that means a little later on in the show. But before we get to all of that, here are the upcoming events in high school sports in North Carolina. April 28th, men's tennis dual team reporting deadline is at 11:59. April 29th, we have the bracket being set for lacrosse. We also have the bracket set for dual men's tennis, and you have to report the individual tennis scores by the reporting deadline. April 30th, the board of directors are going to be meeting for NCHSAA. The first round of the lacrosse playoffs begin May 1st. The golf reporting deadline is May 1st. Day 2 of the board of directors meeting is May 1st. Basically, I'm telling you, there's a lot going on in the spring season right now. Also, things to look forward to. May 6th, baseball bracketing and softball bracketing. The first round begins May 7th for baseball and softball. Women's soccer first round games begin May 13th, and state championships are, they're going to be a little ways away. But we're getting down to the end of regular seasons. Brackets are going to start getting made here for the playoffs, and you got to win your last few games of the year if you're going to go into the playoffs with any kind of momentum. So let's talk about the baseball scene. Is anybody going to make it? Anybody in this area going to make it? Well, I don't know at this point. Mooresville baseball has been playing spoiler. They really have. They beat South Iredell 3-2 late last week. And then last night, they take down Lake Norman 7-0. And Lake Norman, they had just ended that 6-game losing skid where they were good. And then all of a sudden, they started losing. 10-10 going into that. They win, and now they lost. So they're 11-11 now. I don't know. It's going to be hit or miss for Lake Norman. They only got a couple games left on the season. East Rowan and then Mooresville again. But at 500, I don't know if they're going to make it. I know Mooresville isn't 6-17 on the year for them. Like I said, they're currently playing spoiler. They're just going to win against teams that are better than them, and they're going to move into the offseason. They only got one more game, and it's against Lake Norman one more time coming up on Friday. I believe all regular seasons are, or at least most regular seasons are going to be wrapping up either this coming Friday or next Friday. So keep an eye out for all of that. We're going to continue to update you who's ending their season when. Statesville High School, their season's been over. Let's be honest. 0-13 right now. They actually have a few games left here. They're one of those schools that are going to be playing just barely into May, as well as North Iredell, who has a game in May, West Iredell, and South Iredell. All of those schools are going to be playing in May. Maybe one of the directional Iredell schools is going to make the playoffs. My bet, like I said, the whole time it would have been South Iredell, but they lost their most recent game, and it wasn't even close. Now, I know I told you they're playing Cox Mill, one of the best teams in the 4A brackets, but they didn't show up. 13-3 loss. I don't know. If they make the playoffs, they're probably not going to do all that well, South Iredell. But making the playoffs is still making the playoffs. Let's wrap up the high school scene. When we return, we'll do that. Get on to some lacrosse, and then I'll hit you with some news stories from the day. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to The Scoreboard, and we're back after this.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of The Score. I'm 100.7 WSIC.
Boy, I tell you, these allergies are something else. Woo. We're going to get through it. We'll be all right. 844 Studio 4. Let's talk sports. We've been talking high school baseball. Couple of games left for a lot of schools in the area, including South Iredell, who only has one game remaining on their baseball schedule. Only one chance to turn things around and maybe get their way into the playoffs. 12-9 on the year. If they finish 13-9, it's pretty good. I'd expect them to sneak their way in. But you never know. You really don't. You got to play the final games of the season. Some teams that are definitely eliminated from playoff contention: North Iredell, West Iredell, Statesville. They, down the stretch, did not get the wins that they needed to turn things around. North Iredell, I do feel bad for them. They had pretty much a 500 season for most of the season, and then late in the year here started falling off. They lost 4 in a row, 5 of 6. So, we don't have much baseball going on in the local area. What we do have is lacrosse. Yeah. Lacrosse has turned into the dominating sport here in the spring. In the top 25 in North Carolina, rankings-wise: Charlotte Catholic, Concord, Huff High School, Providence Day, and Lake Norman. Those are 1 through 5. As I said, all of those schools generally located pretty close to us. Charlotte Catholic, they are a little bit farther away, but when you look at what they've done this year, 19-0, obviously leading their conference, just absolutely terrorizing everybody that they've played. They are the 9th ranked team in the nation. Little attaboy for Charlotte Catholic, becoming the 9th ranked team in the country. Number 1 in the state. Now, Lake Norman is the closest one that we talk about most days here. They're 76th in the state. For Huff High School, though, down there in Cornelius, Corntown, as it's called here on WSIC, they're 60th in the nation. I'm going to keep saying it, keep reminding you, the athletes right now seem to be in lacrosse, as we have a lot of schools who are going to be making deep playoff runs in this local area. And honestly, I'm excited. I can't wait to see what we have going on. You look at that national rankings page, and you go down to 9, and you see Charlotte Catholic out of Charlotte, NC, and you're like, wow, we really do have some athletes in this area, don't we? So as I told you at the top of the show, the playoffs for lacrosse are approaching near. First round beginning May the 1st. That's next week. I'm excited. I really am. I mean, lacrosse it doesn't really hit the radars too much, I feel like, in the grand scheme of sports coverage. But for the local area to have this many talented players playing lacrosse, it deserves to be covered. And we will let you know what schools make those deep runs as we get into playoffs. First round next week. Woo! Moving on from the high school scene into some things that are in the news. Number 1, Reggie Bush. Do we know why Reggie Bush is in the news? Well, He had his Heisman taken away from him. And just recently being earlier today, it was reinstated. Reggie Bush has had his Heisman Trophy reinstated, which is wonderful, in my opinion. It is long overdue. Absolutely something that needed to be done. And, excuse me, for Reggie Bush, it's got to feel good, honestly, because all of this stuff that we've seen going on in college athletics over the past couple of years with NIL and paying players now being legal. This is the whole reason that he got his Heisman taken away from him in the first place, is because he was found to be getting paid under the table. Okay. Everybody's getting paid under the table at this point. It's pretty interesting that they decide after 14 years to say, you know what? Yeah, we'll go ahead and give you your Heisman Trophy back. As part of this decision on Wednesday, the Heisman Trust is returning Heisman Trophy to Bush and a replica to USC. Bush will again be invited to all future Heisman Trophy ceremonies beginning in the 2024 season. Here's what Bush had to say. He said, "I'm thrilled to reunite with my fellow Heisman winners and be part of the storied legacy of the Heisman Trophy, and I'm honored to return to the Heisman family." Okay. Number one, he won the Heisman. You can take the trophy away from him, but at the end of the day, during all the years when the NCAA and the Heisman Trust did not recognize him as a Heisman Trophy winner, the general public did. So really the only change that is being made here is he gets the trophy back and he gets to go to some events now. Other than that, we still think of Reggie Bush the same. Nothing's changed. Now, I'm curious what this does to, in the future, any vacated wins. Because a lot of times you see vacated wins for recruiting, for paying players. Well, now you see somebody get a Heisman Trophy back. Will wins be reinstated as well? That's my question. But I'm glad Reggie got his Heisman Trophy back. He was always a Heisman Trophy winner. He just didn't have the trophy. And like when you go to the official the official page that recognizes who the Heisman Trophy winners are, he wasn't on there. But in the eyes of the public, and the court of public opinion usually is the only one that matters, which is why I think he got his Heisman back. Reggie Bush has always been a Heisman Trophy winner. Always. Never stopped. He just wasn't recognized because of some pettiness of, yeah, but you got paid. Okay. Did it change his play? If he didn't get paid, would he still have done just as good? Yeah, probably. He's a good athlete. So congratulations to Reggie Bush. One of the things that was talked about by the Heisman Trust when they reinstated this is that they noted the 2021 Supreme Court decision against the NCAA in the Alston case, which the trust said questioned the legality of the NCAA's amateurism model and opened the door to student-athlete compensation. Recognizing that the compensation of student-athletes is an accepted practice and appears here to say these fundamental changes in college athletics led the trust to decide that now is the right time to return the trophy to Bush, who unquestionably was the most outstanding college football player in 2020 or in 2005. Yeah, duh. What? You just said he was the most outstanding. He never didn't win the Heisman. The vote still happened. This is why I don't like any of this stuff. Like, just for a name to be on or to have a trophy. Like, you won the award. Why do you have to take it away from like, it's pettiness. It really is. And it rubs me the wrong way because now you just have the ability to slam down the hammer and say, we're giving it back to you. Because, yeah, student athletes and probably every single Heisman Trophy winner got some kind of financial compensation. Yours was just out in the open, and now everybody else is doing it, and they're doing it legally. So I guess we'll give the trophy back to you. That's exactly what this is. I will bet you money every Heisman winner since at least the year 2000 got some kind of financial compensation, probably even earlier than that year. But no, we're going to turn a blind eye because of the tradition of college football. You cannot illegitimize the sport of college football. It's all about tradition. Shut up. The trophy is a piece of hardware. Reggie Bush was the best player in the 2005 college football season. He has always been a Heisman Trophy winner. They just said, we're doing this because we can and because you got paid and because you kind of made a mockery of the game, I guess. I don't know. In 2005, did people really think that players weren't getting paid? I mean, knowing what we know now in hindsight, obviously. But in 2005, I wasn't around to really know what was going on, but did people think that this was happening commonly? I don't know. 844 Studio 4, let me know. We're heading to a commercial break. We'll be back right after this.
844 Studio 4. It's the Scoreboard on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, everyone, we're back. Second half of the program here today. If you're listening, now is the time to get on your phone. 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. I have in my possession a 4-pack of tickets to the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals. I have Saturday tickets, and I am giving them away to the next person who calls in and tells me they want to go to this event. The NHRA 4-Wide Nationals tickets are for Saturday. You get 4 of them, 844 Studio 4. That's 844-788-3464. Call me up. Let me know you want to go to the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals, and I will give you a pack of 4 tickets to this Saturday's events. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The tickets you can win are specifically for Saturday, and it's a 4-pack of them. So call me up, 844-788-3464. Just wrapping up this Reggie Bush conversation real quick. The 2005 USC Trojans went 12-1 until all of their wins were vacated. All of their games were vacated due to, well, Reggie Bush getting paid. Is the NCAA going to reinstate those ever? They should. The record should stand now that we don't care that players are getting paid. But, you know, what do I know, honestly? We got a caller into the studio. Caller, you are on the Scoreboard. Are you looking to go to the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals?
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right. Well, congratulations. The tickets are yours. You are going to be able to go to the event on Saturday. I have a pack of 4 tickets for you. All I need to do is throw you back on hold for a few minutes and get some information from you off the air. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. I'm not Amy Winehouse addition to the 27 Club. I spoke to you the other day.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I remember that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how I know what the 27 Club is and Patrick Reynolds doesn't. That was a little concerning to me.
You know, he doesn't know anything about music.
Yeah, he tries. That's what matters. He tries.
That's right. That's all that matters. He tries.
Well, just hang on the line with me. After this segment, I'm going to get back on the phone with you and get the information I need to have these tickets sent your way. If for any reason we get disconnected, feel free to just call on back, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Well, hey, congratulations to you. We gave away those tickets to the NHRA 4-Wide Nationals, pack of 4 tickets for this coming Saturday. Congratulations. I love giving away tickets and making people happy. And it's so wonderful. What a day. So anyway, back to my my anger about college football and Reggie Bush. Like, why today? Why today did the NCAA just decide, yeah, we're going to give him his Heisman Trophy back? I don't get it. Anyway, let's get into some motorsports now that we gave away the tickets to the NHRA event this weekend. Excuse me. We have some news out of IndyCar. Team Penske was hit with penalties over an issue with the push to pass. Pato O'Ward was declared the winner of the St. Petersburg race, which was the season opener, just about a month or so ago. It took him a month to figure this out. So here's what happened. In IndyCar, there is a button on your steering wheel. When you push it, you get a little bit more energy in the car, and you can go a little bit more, you can go faster. This is what IndyCar has termed their push to pass. You push the button, you go faster, you can pass the guy in front of you. The thing is, there are rules and regulations as to when and where you can use push to pass. One of them being on the start of the race as well as restarts. You got to wait a certain amount of time before you can use the push to pass. And it's programmed in to most of these cars, so you don't have to worry about it. There's a secondary start-finish line. Once you get to that, then you can start using push to pass. Well, Team Penske was somehow able to disable this. They disabled the whatever system IndyCar put in place to not let push to pass be used at the start of the race. Well, they start using it at the start of the race, and IndyCar somehow didn't notice, but over the past race weekend, it was found that they were violating rules. And because of that, they've had their win taken away from them. Everybody else moves up a spot, which gives the win at St. Petersburg to Pato O'Ward, because the other winner was Joseph Newgarden, and he got disqualified because Penske tried to cheat. But it's not new. Motorsports is cheating. Like, cheating and motorsports go hand in hand. You're not cheating, you're not trying. That is what they say. So I love this. We still have innovation in motorsports. Awesome. You can program your car to allow you to use the push to pass. Now in Formula One, somebody's going to program their car to always have the DRS open. That way you get that extra 10 miles an hour down the straightaway. That's what's coming. How about that? So I don't know. We'll see what happens out of IndyCar with this. Loss of points is hard. You know, the penalty isn't severe. I mean, the fine isn't severe. You know, if you're an owner of a race team, of multiple race teams, Roger Penske, we know what he owns: NASCAR, IndyCar, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So really, this is just a slap on the wrist to the team, but a penalty to the drivers, as they have taken away the win, moved the points accordingly, adjusted the results accordingly, and on a random Wednesday, we have a new winner for the first race of the season. This is where I am going to give props to NASCAR, because if there's a problem with the car, NASCAR knows day of. Post-race inspection. Every car goes through it. There's usually quite a few mentions about it on Twitter. I know Bob Procris is always on top of that. So we know that night whether or not the winner of the race is the actual winner of the race. Not a month later, like what IndyCar is doing. That I find to be unacceptable. And Formula One does that as well, where they'll have an incident in the race and they'll say, we'll wait till later, we got to review it. And sometimes it's that night you get the answer, sometimes it's the next day, but it's not a month later. I think there needs to be a statute of limitations there. If you're able to cheat successfully, but then you get found out, you only get last week's results affected. Everything else stands, because shame on IndyCar for not figuring it out. Honestly, we're a month into the season. How'd you not find this out sooner? Seriously. So that's what's going on in the world of IndyCar. In the world of NASCAR, well, we don't really have any crazy stories like that, but we are going to go see Miles the Monster this coming Sunday. Dover International. Oh boy, that place is a monster. Hence, Miles the Monster. So we'll talk a little bit about NASCAR on the other side of the break, as well as a little bit of NHL, NBA playoff update. Tomorrow is the NFL draft. Did you know that? Have you been paying attention? I know you're upset about Carolina, but they have more picks than just the first round. Tomorrow we're going to preview the NFL draft quite a bit, but today we're going to talk some NASCAR, NHL, NBA, see what we have time for, get this day in sports history, and have a good time doing it. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. You're listening to The Scoreboard, and we're back after this. ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Final segment on this Wednesday. Yes, it's a Wednesday. Halfway through the week. Tomorrow's a big day in sports. You got the NFL draft. You got Carolina Hurricanes in action. Game number 3. First game on the road in the playoffs. You know, the Islanders in game number 2, going into game number 2, the New York Islanders were 81-0 in the playoffs when they led by 3 or more goals. Well, after game 2, they were 81-1 as they led 3-0 in the second period and lost 5-3. All the momentum with the Carolina Hurricanes. But we got to worry about what's going on this weekend in the world of NASCAR. We go to Dover. And I have some numbers here as far as your betting odds. Who is the favorite this coming weekend? Well, it's none other than Kyle Larson. Currently favored in the DraftKings bet lines, according to NASCAR, that is. He's at 9-2 odds to win this coming Sunday. Number 2 on that list, Martin Truex Jr., 13-2 odds. By the way, if you want to know, it's plus 450 and plus 600 for Larson and Truex. And then you have Byron and Chastain plus 750. I'll use the pluses instead of the odds, 9/2 odds. You know what I'm talking about. So the favorite is Kyle Larson right now, plus 450 to win at Dover. And you can catch that Dover race right here on WSIC streaming, right on the radio. Not really streaming. What am I saying? Right here on the radio, you can catch that race. This weekend, Dover is actually being broadcast by PRN, the Performance Racing Network. But you can catch all the action right here on WSIC. Coverage starting at 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. The race is at 2. Coverage is at 1. Make sure I have my information correct. So Kyle Larson, your favorite going into this weekend. Martin Truex Jr. getting a little bit of love. And finally, we don't have to worry about draft tracks. I'm done with them for a little bit. The package is terrible. It makes for some very unentertaining racing. And look, I'm sure I'm in the minority here. I'm sure that there are a lot of people who watched Talladega on Sunday and said, man, was that a good race. They were 3 wide the entire second segment. They wrecked coming to the checkered flag. What more could you want from a race? And okay, if you were able to enjoy that race, more power to you. But for me, running at 1/4 throttle doesn't really make me excited, even if they are 3 wide, because there's no danger in that. They're running 1/4 throttle, and, it showed. They didn't wreck. They didn't barely have any incidents on track. It's Talladega. We got to get back to the days of Tony Stewart where he said, look, NASCAR will just keep adding laps until we wreck half the field. I like it. That should be a rule at Daytona and Talladega. If half the field isn't wrecked, we add another 50 laps. What do we think? Maybe 50 is too much. 20 more laps. 10 laps. 10 laps of racing is better. And I always say this, with super speedway racing, the races are so long that you always get a significantly more entertaining race when there is a threat of rain. Because you're not going to race in the rain at Daytona and Talladega. But if you get to halfway and then it rains, there's a chance they call the race and you're the winner. So you're going to want to be at the front of the field. I don't know how we do this, but every single NASCAR race needs a threat of rain. Not rain every Sunday. No, just the threat. Like, hey, there's rain in the area. It might rain. And maybe not every racetrack needs it. Just the super speedway. Just Daytona, Atlanta, and Talladega. I fixed it. I do a lot of fixing of NASCAR on this show. Maybe they should listen in every now and then. I don't see Denny Hamlin coming up with solutions to these things on Actions Detrimental. The name of his podcast. What a joke. Anyway, moving on from NASCAR, we had some NHL action last night. Important game for the Hurricanes and what they could possibly be looking at if they make it to round number 2. That was the Washington Capitals taking on the New York Rangers. And it was a good game. The Rangers end up taking the 2-0 series lead. So both Carolina and New York are in the same position. And I'm going to tell you this right now. When those two meet in the second round, whoever wins that series is going to go play for the Stanley Cup. I know there's going to be another series after that. You got to get to the conference championship and win the conference championship games first. But I'm just telling you right now, the winner of the Rangers-Carolina series is going to go play for the Stanley Cup. That is what I believe. If Carolina can come out victorious in that series, I have no doubt that they will take care of business in the conference finals this year. And we've been swept the last 2 times we've been in the conference finals, so this will be a nice change of pace. But I have the confidence. I know a lot of people probably don't, especially given the recent history of failure in the playoffs, and not only in the playoffs, but deep in the playoffs, round 2, round 3 losses. But this is the year they have a chance to turn it around. The only thing that the Rangers are better than the Hurricanes at is between the pipes. The goaltender for the Rangers is significantly better than all 3 of the Carolina goaltenders put together. Okay? And that is where this game is going to be won and lost, which is why for the entirety of the regular season, I was begging and pleading for the Hurricanes to go and get a goaltender because you have the forward team to do it. You have the defensive team to do it, but your goaltending was shaky all year long. And the team that you have to compete with, well, they have one of the best goalies in the league. Now, I'm not saying they were going to go out and get the number 1 goaltender in the league. It's not going to happen. But something would have been nice. Something is better than nothing. And who knows? You go out and get Jake Gensel, who is one of the best playoff performers in the league. That could be the difference. I said it at the time when they made the trade. You know, one way to not worry about goaltending is to just score a bunch more than your opponent does. The goaltending just has to be okay at that point. Look at Vegas. Look at Colorado. They could score. Those teams were scoring. And if Carolina can score at the pace that they have been, the goaltending might not be an issue. It might be shootouts every single game, like 5-4, 6-5. Who knows? But if it turns into one of those games, advantage Carolina. If it turns into a 1-0 game, you got to give the advantage to the Rangers. Or a 2-1 game. Or it's 1-1 in the third period. Yeah, Carolina can score, but the goaltending makes a difference. So we'll see what happens as we move through the rest of the playoffs. Game number 3 coming up on Thursday, that being tomorrow. Also, the NFL draft is tomorrow, round number 1. I'm going to be paying attention. I know we got the Panthers nowhere near the first round. We got to wait till day 2 of the draft for some Panther picks. But there are some players out there that it would be nice to see drop a little bit. And maybe the Panthers can steal themselves a good pick in day 2 of the draft. The NBA playoffs are continuing as well. Later on tonight, we have a couple of games. We have Miami and Boston. Boston leading that series 1-0. New Orleans Pelicans and Oklahoma City Thunder. Both of those series 1-0. Now, in the NHL, we finally had some away teams winning their games. In the NBA, we don't really want to talk about it too much. We don't. Because there's a lot of 1-0 and 2-0. Only the Bucks, Pacers, and Clippers, Mavs saw an away team win the game. Parity. It's what makes your league special. And the NBA has been losing viewership. It doesn't surprise me that the parity has also been down. Do I have time for this day in sports history? Oh man, I really don't. Okay. On this day in 2004, the San Diego Chargers drafted their future quarterback, Eli Manning. But wait, Eli Manning said, I am not going to the Chargers. The Chargers' first overall pick, Eli Manning, gets traded to the New York Giants. And the rest is history. The Chargers still looking for a championship. Eli Manning beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl 2 times during his tenure. Last thing before I leave you, fun fact about Eli Manning. Every time he made the playoffs, he either got eliminated in game 1 or he won the Super Bowl. There was no in between. Thanks for joining on the scoreboard today. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Serving you better than ever before.